This is the chart that can break the back of the U.S. economy and of the financial system. The key here is this is the 10-year yield. Now, the 10-year yield, we know that I've talked about this 4.6% level. That's exactly what we're piercing right now. Now, has this broken? No, not necessarily. Things tend to pierce. That's exactly the nature of charts because they're driven by emotion. So when we look at this chart, what we clearly see, and I've gone over this many times over, we see all of these ranges, right? How this trend line worked out perfectly. And now what are we doing? We're at 4.66% and we're piercing this line. So this is a major point today and tomorrow, a major point for this market to find out, do we break this level? And I'm telling you right now, not only are yields so high that you're probably seeing banks into zombie banks, probably going bust under the surface of the market. But if we go higher, you're going to have a major financial crisis. So I'm going to say here, right now, I do think that yields are going to pull back off of this 4.6-ish level. I do think it comes back in because if it doesn't, you will see a crisis of epic proportions. Think about this. U.S. debt 33 plus trillion now. All right, over $1 trillion in interest. Keep in mind, over 1.7 trillion in debt of the U.S. has to essentially be refinanced in the next year or so. All right. So again, huge amount. In fact, I think that number might even be somewhere in the 7 trillion in the next few years. How are they going to be paying these types of yields or interest rates on that? Then talk about credit card debt. All the debts out there, rates are all spiking. It will literally bankrupt the U.S. It is not going to be sustainable. Whether we have to see a major regression or just a pullback, we'll have to see. But I know one thing. I know that we are built on a house of cards, and yields cannot survive, or at least the economy can't survive with yields up here. So let's watch and see. The markets this morning, initially neutral to positive. As yields have risen, we've seen the market pull back just a little bit. It's still hanging in there because the dollar is neutral to negative last I checked. Speaking of which, let's go over to the US dollar. All right, now, by the way, before I go away from this chart, really, really important thing to take a look at here. And another reason on a technical basis. So we know we have the trend line, but what I'm doing here is I'm zooming in, right? So if we zoom in, we know that here you have a high and here's a higher high. If you look at the RSI, high and lower high. So again, we do have a lower divergence or a negative divergence here. Now again, divergences don't make anything official, right? It's not like it's 100%, but these are the things that you want to align. Trend line, higher high, and here you have a lower high. It gives you an inside look into the probability of a pullback off this level.